Stolen Minutes podcast. My name is Carrie, and I am coming to you today. It is August 17th, 2023. I'm coming to you from my home in Ohio, where I live with my husband, and we have two girls. One's in college, and the other is in high school. So not everybody is here. And also our four cats. We've got Chet laying over here. He'll probably peek his head up. And then, you can't see him, but Shadow climbed up behind me here. So he takes his name Shadow quite seriously. He is always behind me or near me, it seems like, unless he is curled up asleep somewhere. But I guess he wants to join me. So I won't be surprised if he makes his way onto my lap at some point. But anyways, so how you doing? I know it's been a minute. I think I put out my last podcast at the beginning of May. I have a podcast recorded from the middle of May, I believe May 18th. So almost 3 months from today. It's been a busy summer. How about you? Have you been busy? I feel like I've just blinked and we've gone from summer starting and now we're back in school again. So it's been a great summer, and yeah, so much packed into the past few months. So let's see. Oh, I need to tell you, thank you if you are a returning viewer, and welcome if you are new. I hope to be putting out podcasts a little more regularly than every 3 months, but let's just say that I'm going to do the best that I can. This is a podcast all about whatever I'm knitting or crocheting. A lot of my knitting is socks, especially this episode. I have a few works in progress, and I have a sweater progress update for you from my previous podcast that I've yet to even upload or edit or anything. So I probably will stick this in, and then maybe in a second I will put in that podcast from May. Welcome to the Stolen Minutes podcast. It's kind of been a minute, and I feel really rusty on this. This is a podcast all about what I'm knitting, reading, sometimes crocheting. Not today. I don't have any crochet today. It's all knitting. What I'm looking forward to casting on, and yeah, I think at the end I will probably circle back to something that I'm knitting on and talk about a problem that came up with it. Don't be like me. That's all I have to say. So maybe it will help you if you knit one of these items. So, yeah, so today is Thursday, May 18th. It is almost 1 o'clock. It's a beautiful day today. It's a little cooler than it has been. I can't seem to get warm today. Like, I don't know why, but I'm not turning the furnace back on. I'm not turning the heat on. So just going to have to deal with it. I'm joined by my trusty co-host over here, Shadow, today. There might be another cat that makes an appearance. We'll just have to see. I think everybody is kind of napping, so we're probably safe. I only have one finished object today. I have something on the needles that probably won't make it to next week. It'll probably be finished by then. So we all know that means that there's some new things to cast on. So we'll talk about that, what that might look like. Let's just hop into finished objects since I have one. How about that? So the socks that I have finished are my only finished object. I feel like there should be something else that I've finished and I just don't know, but I no, I don't think so. I think I recorded. I think I've already talked about the stuff that I finished. So, anywho, these are some self-striping socks by Hingston Handmade. This is their Southern Comfort colorway, 80/20 base. I love it. It's nice and squishy. It knit up really nicely. It's got some fun. I love the speckles in the blue, in the navy there. I love the speckles. And then in this cream, there's like shades of purple in there. That's really fun. So these are nice. I am going to gift these to my mom for Mother's Day. I finished them prior to Mother's Day, but I knew I wanted to podcast them, so I haven't given them to her yet. So these will be a surprise. She's seen them, but she doesn't know that they're for her. So that's my only finished object. I have really been exclusively knitting on these socks and another pair that I'm about to show you, and a sweater, but it's just mainly been socks lately, so not a big surprise with that either. Okay, so that is my only finished object. What I am currently knitting on, and honestly will probably be done after this weekend, I'm guessing, is another pair of socks. So this is Land of Misfit Toys by Homespun House. This is sock number 1. So really fun how they stripe up there. And here is the second sock. It's actually changing as I move into this second sock. It's becoming lighter, and that's okay. It's fun. So yeah, so like I said, these, the second sock is past the gusset decreases and well on its way on the foot. I knit on these last week during a band concert. I did some part of this during the band concert, did the heel at some point. And then last night there was another band awards night. So I took them with me and I sat and knit on my sock and made some good progress. So I was in the gusset decreases somewhere halfway into those. So I took it with me and had just enough light to sit and knit and enjoy the evening. So yeah, hopefully those will be off the needles soon. Let's see, I have another pair of socks currently on the needles. They just, I'm not treating them like a project that has to be finished before I start something else, mainly because they are a long-term sock project. But I'm hoping to finish them up by the middle of June. So I think I talked about these on the last one, but I'm going to talk about it again, and maybe I won't include that just because, whatever, I don't want to bore you. But this yarn that these are knit out of is by Mandy's Makings, and it is called Spring Party. I'll just show you the one here. And I am just doing my own stitch pattern on these. I'm going to make 3 pairs total out of this yarn. I have 1 pair finished, and this pair it's almost like at the same place. It's right after the gusset decreases, so well onto the foot, and then I will have 2 pairs, and then I will knit 1 more pair out of this. Why are you going to knit 3 pairs, Carrie? Let me tell you. So when I saw this colorway, it is a color that among me and my mom and my sister has, like, it's the color that we always say, oh, that's the Jello Bowl color. So growing up, my mom had this bowl that she would take, usually a red Jello, strawberry or cherry, mixed with Cool Whip to family get-togethers. And the red Jello with the Cool Whip was like the color of this bowl. It like the Jello looked like the bowl and the bowl looked like the Jello. So it's kind of this like mauve, rosy, pink color that's like got white mixed in it, like Cool Whip. And I think it's like a 3-bowl set or whatever. And it's melamine. And if we could find 2 more sets, we would totally, I would totally buy a set, and I know my sister would too, because we love the Jello bowl. So that pink color is just special to us. So when I saw this yarn, it just reminded me of that Jello bowl. It's got a little bit of white peeking through it, but it's mostly pink. So this pair is, I knit in the String of Lights pattern by Sock Witchery on Instagram. So I knit these with that pattern. And then I knew for each of these I wanted to do some kind of a textured pattern, which is not my general go-to for socks, because as my eyes are changing and I need to wear glasses, I super enjoy, or reading glasses, I super enjoy a vanilla sock. I just love the not thinking about it. I love just the repetitiveness of it and not having to stop in between for patterns, but I do love the feel of a textured sock. And with this mostly solid color yarn, I just thought the textured sock would be super fun. So I am going to do a 3rd textured sock. I do not know what pattern yet. I just grabbed my stitch book for this one. It's been something I've wanted to do, to just grab a stitch and insert it into my vanilla sock. So that's what I did. And so I had gone through it and picked out a couple, and I have a couple more just kind of penciled on a little piece of paper. And yeah, I will probably, I need to start thinking about what one I want to do, but that will be next on my list. So this is a long-term project. I think I started the first pair last summer or the summer before. And they've just kind of been that project that lingers along, because I don't pick up a textured sock all the time and just fully commit to it usually. But it's been nice to have this sock as kind of an in-between. I want something to take my mind a little bit distracted. I need something to like focus my brain on. And so these have been great for that. It's a it's a 4-row stitch pattern. So, and 3 of those rows are just knitting. So it's great. So I've really been enjoying the Jello bowl socks, as I call them. So that is, what else? That's the other thing that is on my needles aside from a sweater. Okay. So I had posted about this a little bit on Instagram before things started to go awry. So I am knitting a Ranunculus. There's like 18,000 of them on Ravelry. So I feel like I'm, the last person to knit one. I've had yarn in my stash that I thought, oh, this might be good for it. This might be good. Do I want more of a summery one? Do I want short sleeves, long sleeves? Do I want to go a woolier wool? Do I want a warmer one? Like, oh, so many choices that like my brain just goes, I don't even know what I want to do. And I shut down on deciding. So I finally decided. I had this Shibui yarn in my stash that I've had for probably 4 or 5 years. I had gotten it when I worked at a local yarn shop. It's Shibui yarns. They're actually going out of business, or they already have, which is super sad, because they were a staple yarn in the yarn shop that I worked at. Just a really classic, classy yarn. They came in just like a handful of colors, or at least that we had, and just nice basics. So, and the whole like thinking behind them was that they were yarns, they were specifically, their patterns and things were designed for the yarns to be held together to create different weights and different fabrics. And they even had like a chart that defined, like, if you put this one with this one, it made this weight yarn, and this one with this one made this weight yarn. So it was really fun to help people come in and pick out the different yarns to go with patterns that maybe weren't Shibui patterns, but they had their own line of patterns also that were just really classic, clean lines, and felt very kind of modern, but still very like wardrobe staples. So anyways, I had bought this yarn or had a cardigan that I had knit for the shop, and bought the yarn to make myself one, and then just never did. And, you know, tastes change and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that with it. Enter the Ranunculus. It kept coming back in my head like, oh, this might actually be a really great yarn, like combination for that and whatever. It is. And I got through the yoke, and super fun. I have seen and looked for different people's modifications to the pattern. I chose to just do a German twisted cast on for the ribbing. I just didn't want to do the provisional cast on. And the one thing that made me kind of nervous about this pattern was that a lot of people, the pictures especially, show it on, and it has a really wide neckline. So it has a wide neckline and a smaller neckline. And I was just really afraid of like a flash dance kind of version. That's not the look I was going for. I wanted it to be a little closer. So I had seen Knit Together with Kim and Jonna. I really love their podcast. If you haven't watched them, do. They're great. But I had seen where Jonna had knit hers, and she did a German twisted, and I believe she did the wider neckline, and her neckline just came out really nice. So, and then there was Knit California. Also, she just did a video talking about hers. And so I felt pretty confident doing the German twisted that it would come out okay, or I was hoping so. I wasn't really sure going into it how I thought the gauge would work. I believe that was Knit California that talked about she just cast on with the needles that she felt was appropriate for her yarn that she was using. And because the yoke is the same for whichever size you end up choosing. So she knit the yoke and then started knitting into the raglan increases till she got enough that she could measure her fabric for gauge. And so I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. So that kind of gave me the confidence to jump into it without a gauge swatch. So sometimes I like to live life on the edge, y'all. So I knit through the yoke, knit this much, like 3 inches or so of raglan increases, and measured my gauge. Did all the math to figure out what size I would end up making for the gauge that I'm getting, and proceeded. And it was Mother's Day. It was a gorgeous day. Spent a ton of time outside knitting, primarily on this sweater, because I thought, oh, if I could get like to this, like separate the sleeves this weekend, fantastic. And then it's just a great big tube of stockinette, and I'm in heaven. So sitting out on the deck, knitting away, and I'm like, okay, I've knit like all the appropriate increases, and I'm separating for the sleeves, and I separate the two, and I'm coming back around to my end of round, beginning of round marker. And I will admit, like when I counted up my stitches for how many I had for the sleeves and then for the front and the back, my back stitches, I had a good like 12 or more stitches than I did for the front, and the sleeves were both the count that they were supposed to be. The front, I believe, was maybe short a couple of stitches, but that didn't bother me. It was more like, why do I have so many more in the back? Whatever, I'm just proceeding like I know better than the pattern, what it says. So I'm separating, I put both of the sleeves on, on hold, and I'm putting all those stitches, knitting around to my beginning of round, and I'm like, uh-oh. I knit raglan increases on each side of my beginning of round marker. That's where my 12 or so extra stitches came from. So what I did was I had, it's really hard to see it, but I had 2 sleeves and then extra increases on the back beginning of round marker. Okay. It was like at that moment, a little light bulb went off, because as I was knitting these raglan increases, it's starting in the middle of the back. And I think I didn't have that completely visualized in my head for some reason. And so the directions say something like knit to 1 stitch before first marker, increase, slip marker, increase, repeat 4 times. Okay, well, that beginning of round marker is not one of those. That's the 5th, that would be the 5th time you're doing increases, so like you don't do it then. But even when I was doing it, I was like, well, why? I'm thinking like, oh, I do that last increase before the marker, but then like that beginning of round, like I do the increase before, but it doesn't tell me to do it right after. And I was like, that's really weird. Why? Oh, it's fine. You just have to do that. Like, you just need to know. So I did that. Well, how many hours of knitting later, I realize, no, just follow the directions, what they say. But it was just one of those where you get it in your head that you are doing it a certain way. I think other sweaters, the beginning of round must have always been like at the sleeves or something. I don't know, whatever. So without further ado, that same, like sitting down after I picked up the last sleeve and knit around and figured it out, I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna fix this. So I took another needle. I haven't ripped it out yet because I just haven't had like enough time to sit down and know, like, I'm gonna have some yarn management when I rip this out that I need to take care of, and whatever. I just want to make sure I have time. So maybe this weekend. But I went around because I knew this would be tedious, and I thought, you know what, we're in it. I'm thinking it, like I know where I need to do it. I went and I picked up the right leg of every stitch of the round that I need to rip back to. So I'm ripping back to basically get rid of all of those incorrect increases at the beginning of round. So it is taking me all the way back to the last round of the yoke pattern part where you do the textured detail stitches. I have tried it on, and I'm happy with the way that the neck lays. It's a closer neck. It's certainly not a wide neck, which is fine. And otherwise, like even trying it on with it the way it is with the extra increases, it's still like I was happy with the fit. So I'm okay with my gauge. I think I'm good to proceed forward with the numbers that I figured out, like thinking this was correct to begin with. So I'm happy with my numbers, and it's just a matter of now I need to rip that out and get my correct needle size back in there, and then we'll actually knit some raglan increases and make some good progress on this. I think I am going to do at least like 3/4 sleeves. So this yarn, okay, so the Shibuya yarn is Reed is one of them, and that is a fingering weight linen, 100% linen. And then the second strand that I am holding is their Lunar, and it is a merino and mulberry silk blend. So this is the linen, and this is the merino. So the merino is super soft, and it has a little bit of this like fuzziness to it. But together they do create a really nice fabric. So I think it could go either way. I just don't know that I see myself wearing this as a short sleeve sweater, because I have a little bit of concern about it being a little see-through, that I feel like if I have to wear a tank top underneath a short sleeve sweater, I'm going to want it to have sleeves. It would be appropriate to wear. Today would probably be a little bit warm for me personally to wear this with a tank top under it. Now, if I really get this body done and I try it on and I'm like, oh, it's not, airy enough of a gauge that you're going to see through it, that I would need to wear a tank top, then I may go with short sleeve. I really like the little cap sleeve version of these. But if I have to wear a tank top because of the gauge see-through ability, I will put 3/4 sleeves probably on it, because I think I have enough yarn. Because the original thing I was going to knit with it was like a long swingy open cardigan. And this isn't that. So, so don't be like me. Just do what the pattern says. Follow the directions. I don't know. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. But it's fine. All's well that ends well. There's Ramona joining us. But like overall in general, I do highly recommend the Ranunculus. It's a fun yoke with those like necklaces or however you want to look at it. But there's like maybe 4 to 6 different stitch patterns that you do there that are really fun. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, come on. Yeah, just hang out. Cool. Okay. You can go now. Yeah. Yeah. Go. Go. Totally oblivious. But yeah, I highly recommend the Ranunculus. I can completely see why 18,000 people have knit one. If you're looking for a rabbit hole to go down, just look at the Ranunculus. It's a pattern that's written for several different weights of yarn. It's got short sleeve, long sleeve options. Like I said, different necklines, and then you can just scroll through and see everyone's version, and they're beautiful in like a wintry looking sweater, but they're gorgeous in I've seen Knitmatician knit I think it was a single strand of mohair. She was in a wedding last year. She was like mother of the bride, and she had this beautiful satiny silky sheath dress underneath a ranunculus on top, and it was just beautiful. The ranunculus was the same color as her dress, and it was just super classy and just gorgeous. And she's since wears it just with a tank top underneath with jeans or a dress or whatever. And so I love that version too. So, oh my goodness, my stomach just growled really loud. I hope you didn't hear that. Okay, so enough about my ranunculus quandary. So with that, okay, and in my Shibuya, the color is Blueprint, that blue color, and I'm doing Reed and Lunar held together. So the merino silk is a lace weight, and the linen is a fingering. So it comes out like a light DK, which worked out really nice for this. And I'm knitting it on US 9s. And that is giving me a gauge of 18.5 to 19 stitches. That's not a blocked gauge swatch, so it was more like 18.5. So I'm saying like, oh, when I block it, it'll be around 19. So I don't want it to be super oversized, but I'm happy if it's a little more fitted. So, and when I tried it on, I'm thinking it will be in that area. So, yeah. So that is all that is on and off my needles. I have some upcoming projects that I'm mulling around in my head. So once I cast off the pink socks that I'm working on, the Homespun House Land of Misfit Toys, not the Jello Bowl socks. But once I cast off those others that are really close to being done, then I am going to get out a couple, 2, 3 new pairs of socks to cast on. We are about to go on our annual girls trip to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I always love to cast on 1 or 2 new pairs of socks to take on that trip. It just usually serves as a fun little memento. So I am currently auditioning some yarn and bag combinations downstairs. I don't know how you like to pick out yarn for projects, but I love to just kind of open up my yarn cabinet and just see what ones are kind of striking my attention or striking my fancy, and I'll pull them out. And I always knit socks for me and a pair for my mom at the very minimum. So I try to pull one from her little stash and one from mine, but that usually starts out with pulling out like 6 to 10 different yarns and weeding them down. And then I like to pull out my bag cart that I have with my project bags and pick out a bag that to me coordinates or goes with that yarn, because then that serves as a reminder in my little head what project is in that bag. So that's kind of why I pick maybe the bag that I do to go with a yarn, because if it has a lot of purple in it or something, I try to pick a bag that has purple or that it goes with well. That's just what I like to do. I don't know. So I have already pulled some yarns the other day, and I'll see how I still feel about those sometime this weekend or next week when I'm ready to get those yarns all wound up and ready to go. And the other thing that I am itching to cast on, Nicole of Professor Pearl is having a tank top make along that I believe lasts well into the summer. I don't remember if it goes until July. I feel like it goes until July. And last summer I knit 2 tank tops of the same pattern, and I'm blanking on what they were, but they were a V-neck in the front and the back. It was pretty much reversible. It was, you knit 2 identical things and worked out really well. And I wore both of those several times. I made a navy-ish blue and a cream color. And I'm excited to get those back out this summer too. But it kind of made me realize, yeah, I do like wearing a knit tank top. Like, you know, a little change of pace sometimes if you want to get kind of dressed up, but it's still hot. So I felt like Nicole's knit along is good motivation to like get the ball rolling on that. So I had a gift card to a local yarn shop, and on local yarn shop day at the end of April, I went with a friend of mine and I was like, I'm buying yarn to knit a tank top, and I was just hoping that they would have something that would work, and they did. So I have 2 patterns that I'm deciding between. I think I know which one, but let me know if you've knit either one or if one speaks to you. So the yarn that I got is Luma, by the Fiber Company, and this color is Pecan is the name of this one. It's a really nice brownish gray, grayish, if you will. And it is a DK weight yarn, and it is 50% wool, 25% cotton, 15% linen, and 10% silk. And so the two patterns that I was looking at, I believe they were like a cotton yarn is what they had used, and the other was maybe like a silk cotton or a silk. So I felt like this would be appropriate, and the owner actually was wearing an anchor sweater that she had knit out of this, and she was knitting another sweater currently at that time on her needles with this yarn, and she said she absolutely loves it. So I got this with my gift card, and I'm so excited to knit it up. So the two patterns that I have in mind for it, one is the Roman Holiday, and this is a pattern by Sari Nordlund. And I really, really, really like this pattern. Let me see. There's a little better close up. So this is the picture. So it's just like a nice basic tank. It's got this ribbing detail, and then it's got this fun little like garter stitch in the V-neck scoop. So this one is like contender number one, shall we say. There we go. So very wearable. The second one that I have is the Home Camisole by Kadri. And the thing I really like about this one is it has this really pretty like I-cord detail around the neckline. It looks like it just maybe has a rolled hem. So, yeah, I only printed the one picture. I try to like crop patterns so that I'm not printing a ton of just pictures. But so these are the two that I kind of have earmarked for this yarn. I'm kind of leaning towards the home, and I have some other DK weight cotton that I think might use this for. So this pattern is certainly going to be knit. I just think in this yarn, I think I'm going to do the home. So, so I need to figure out my needles. Am I doing a gauge swatch? What's happening? So probably doing a gauge swatch. Yes. But I need to do that before I can like really get it like in the queue. So those are my two upcoming projects. And I think that's it for knitting. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend. It looks like we have some good weather in store for us. And yeah, so I hope you get lots of knitting time, lots of stolen minutes to knit. So I had some errands this morning, and I got back and I have a little bit of time. And I thought, you know what, let's just try to get a little bit up to date on podcasting. So, because I've got this stack of summer projects that I finished, and I would love to talk about them so that I can put them in my drawer and just start a new stack. So, all right, I'm going to start with finished projects first, because that is where my head is at, and I have this stack sitting here. So I'm going to try to go in the order that I finished them, but who knows? You can find me on Instagram as stolen minutes _ and I will link my Ravelry project page below, but I am stolen minutes on Ravelry also. Any notes I might have made about projects, they're all on those project pages. So if I don't mention it here and you have a question, maybe check there. I I have my own sock pattern that I use, and it's not published, so that isn't on there, but they're just vanilla socks 99% of the time. All right, first finished object. I finished these in early June. This is the Smoky Mountain colorway by Knitted Wit, and I actually bought this yarn a couple of years ago when we vacationed in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. I bought this at the Smoky Mountain Spinnery down there, and I love this yarn. I love it so much that I bought 3 full skeins, I believe, 2 or 3 full skeins. And I've already made a pair for my mom, and then I have this pair for me. So I started these back at the beginning of June. I think it took me a couple of weeks. These ended up really quick. And I can't wait to wear them. I love the Knitted Wit. I love her base that she uses. It's an 80/20 and is so squishy, and I love them. So super excited to get these. I had already tucked these in my sock drawer, and I was looking at my notebook, and I thought, oh, I finished those too. So they made it into my drawer before I realized that I hadn't shared them. So love those. The next pair, excuse me, shadow, is, and I talked about these quite extensively on that May podcast, so I won't talk about them too much, but this is my Jello bowl socks, as I really refer to them and think of them in my head. I knit 3 pairs of socks in this colorway. This is Spring Party by Mandy's Makings, and this color just grabbed me because it reminds me so much of a Jello bowl that my mom always used when we were growing up to take Jello with Cool Whip to family functions. And so we just love that color. It's the perfect like rosy pink mauve with like marbled white. And we just love that pink. So anytime we see any pink that reminds us of that, it's like, oh, it's like the Jello bowl pink. So when I saw this colorway by Mandy, I knew it was the Jello bowl pink, and so I promptly ordered a couple skeins from her. And for the past couple years, I have wanted to knit up 3 pairs of socks in this yarn, one for me, one for my mom, and one for my sister. And I finally did it. The first pair I started was this one, and this is String of Lights by Lindsay of Sock Witchery. And the other 2 pairs that I made, I inserted my own textured stitch pattern into it. I just grabbed a stitch from a book and plugged it into my vanilla sock pattern that all of my socks are. So yeah, so this is the pair that I kept. I had a pair for my mom, and her feet are just like 5 rows shorter than mine. So hers were, by default, I picked hers for her because they were smaller. And I made this pair and another pair, and I let my sister choose which one she wanted, and she chose the other one. So I get the String of Lights, and yeah, I will definitely make myself my own pair of the stitch pattern that I made for my sister because I really love those too. So anywho, these are going in my drawer. I'm so excited that they are done. It was something that just kept languishing because it was a textured pattern, and I just tend to be a vanilla sock knitter. So that was why they took me so long, but I'm so happy to have those in my drawer now. I didn't finish. I think I finished these next. I started these also at the beginning of the summer, and this is Seaweed by Leading Men Fiber Arts. I cast these on expecting to work on them during Knitty Natty's Sock Week because the colorway name was Seaweed. And then I cast them on, and I was so busy during that time that I don't think I worked on them hardly at all. So, and then I just picked them back up. I stayed pretty, I've been like only really working on about 2 pairs of socks at a time. So things have felt much more monogamous. I knit these for my mom. This is out of Hot Knit Yarn, Haute, and it is, the colorway is the Impossible, I believe. These will be going to her sock drawer. And this pair, this is by Zebra Yarns. This is her red, white, and blue self-striping. And she had a 4 or 5 day knit along around July 4th. And so I believe it was casting on July 1st through the 5th, maybe. I think I cast these on July 2nd, and I didn't finish them for a couple weeks, but I'm always excited to get a pair of Anna's stripy socks in my drawer, and yeah, these fit the bill. So I just did a cream color contrasting heel. Otherwise, it's just straight down. I find that when I wear my Birks, I prefer the toe to be the same as the foot of the sock. So that way, looking down at my feet, my toe is whatever stripe or solid that the rest of the sock is, rather than seeing a contrast toe peeking out at the end of my Birk. So I love these. I have more of Anna's yarn in my stash, so I feel the need to get another one on the needles sooner than later. And the last pair of socks that I have to share today that is completely finished. Look at little Chet. Oh, yeah. He's a sweet boy. He's missing my college girl. She's his person. And so I think he's just feeling kind of lonely. So then I have this pair. This is Ridiculous Yarns. I hope I'm saying that right. I bought this yarn at a yarn store in Kentucky called Knit On. And I don't know if she was having a trunk show or she just had gotten in a lot of their yarn recently, but oh, she had a fabulous selection, and yeah, these had to come home with me. I actually got a second skein that has more pink and then I believe some neon yellow in it. So this one is called Kaleidoscope. I don't remember what the other one's called, but yeah, I cast these on, I believe, July 22nd, and finished those up just last few days. So yeah, and it's a nice, fun, I love how even the color dispersed, and I cannot wait to wear these. So that is it for my finished objects. And so I know I talked back at the beginning of the year about keeping my knitting notebook and all that kind of stuff, and I've been keeping up. And as of now, I was keeping track between me and my mom what I knit for us, because I'm always kind of conscious to try and keep our knits even, how many I knit for her or myself. I don't know, it's just how I operate. So as of now, I've knit both of us this year 10 pairs of socks each. So yeah, I don't think I've knit socks aside from the pair for my mom or for my sister. I haven't knit too many other socks, but I'm so happy with this. So so let's talk about what is on my needles. What I have been working on and obsessed with are the Barbie socks. This is yarn by, let's see if this is by Skein Cocaine. I just happened to catch on her Instagram. It really likes Chet. I happened to catch on her Instagram that she had Barbie yarn in her shop, and so I hopped on there and snagged some. Oh my goodness. This is perfect. This is perfect. So I highly recommend Skein Cocaine. I love her yarns. I love the way she dyes her yarn. This one is fun. It's got little bits of pink well, it's all pink, but it's got little bits of green and like a purpley blue and yellow and a darker pink just interspersed throughout. So these are great. I actually bought 2 skeins, and I think the second skein is going to be, I'm going to cast that on right away. So did you guys see the Barbie movie? Did you guys all see it? We saw it. We went and saw it like the week after it came out. Loved it. Me and my sister played Barbie all the time growing up. Oh my goodness. So many Barbies. So many Barbies. And I think we each had 2 Kens. So I think that speaks volumes, and I imagine that's how most people are. Lots more Barbies than Kens. I mean, and our Kens seriously each had a tux and swim trunks. So, I mean, what else does a guy need? I mean, everything is for Barbie. So I thought the movie was great. I love the message. There's a little, teariness at the end. Of course, they have to get the moms. When they gave the quote about mothers stand still so they can see how far their children have gone or can go. So, yeah. All right. Here's another thing I've been working on. I thought I had. No, I don't. No, I finished them, I guess. That was the one pair. I'm just like, wait a minute, I had no. So this is the other pair I have recently been working on. These are, oh, Chet, you're making my camera like you. These are, this is Destination Yarn. I believe the name of this colorway is International Space Station. I honestly have had this in my stash for quite a while. I'm pretty sure she still dyes this color, but they are fabulous. Another, just lots of colors, all the colors, and yeah, they're knitting up wonderfully. I have these in one of these Stolen Minutes bags that was in one of the updates this summer. I love these pink flowers. Yeah. So that is tucked in there. And I'm almost to the heel. I have a little bit more. My mom and I went to Kentucky this last weekend, and we saw Leanne Morgan, a comedian down in Louisville, and she was fantastic. So on the ride home, I pretty much worked exclusively on these. I think I had knit about half of the cuff and then just went to town on the leg. So I'm excited to get to the heel on those. All right. Here's what we're going to talk about. Now, it's either in the last podcast from May that I'm going to post separately, or it's at the beginning of this video so that you know the craziness that I'm talking about. So, my Ranunculus. Guess what? I haven't touched it since I recorded that podcast in May. Yeah, that's right. I had the best of intentions, but look, I've still got my needles in here waiting. I just haven't had the time to sit down and take out these needles and rip it back. There's gonna be a little bit of yarn management because I'm holding two strands together. As I've talked about previously, it's Shibui yarn I'm holding together. I do not have the tags. So I'm not even going to begin to guess, but it's a I don't remember what it's called, but there's a linen, and then a merino, and I'm holding those together and that's yielding me a DK-ish weight yarn. So, to briefly recap, and what I'm going to be doing is read your directions and just follow the directions. I don't know what I was thinking. Basically, I ended up doing raglan increases at my beginning of round, which is the middle of the back of this sweater. And I also did them at each of, the shoulders where you're supposed to. So I ended up with like a dozen or so extra stitches. Yeah. So I just haven't had time to sit down and devote to that. So I really thought I was going to get to it this morning, but I don't think so. So maybe this afternoon. It is gorgeous. I just want to go sit outside and knit. It's like 70, like mid 70s right now. Yesterday was the same thing. I think there's a little bit more of a breeze today. Oh, there's a hummingbird. I saw 2 last night on my feeder in the backyard, and I've got 1. Oh, he's taking his time. I can't keep the dang ants off my hummingbird feeder. Earlier in the summer, it was bees. And now it's ants. And the poor little guy. He's doing the best he can. I'm doing the best I can. But I really want to get this done because I think it's going to be perfect for the fall when it starts to get just a little bit cool. All right. So you heard it here first, people. I'm going to rip it back and I'm going to do what I need to do. I just haven't had the brain space to do it. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I don't even know where the summer went. We saw Taylor Swift. Did you see Taylor Swift? I'm officially now a Swiftie. I really only liked Taylor Swift because my girls like Taylor Swift. And now I hear it wherever I go. I have woken up so many mornings with Taylor Swift in my head because we've listened to so much Taylor Swift this summer. Went to the concert. Of course, we had outfits and all that jazz. It was so hot that day. Oh my gosh. I wore just a black, I think I wore a black tank top. My album that I represented was Reputation, by the way. That is my favorite, I think, of Taylor Swift. I don't know. I like them all. But I wore a black tank top. I had a pair of my cutoff shorts, and I wore fishnets underneath them. And I told my girls, I was like, I'll wear whatever, but I'm wearing my Birks on my feet. You can't make me wear some other shoe. Like, that's what I'm wearing. I know I can walk in those. I'll be good. It was fantastic. In a crazy turn of events. Okay, so like crazy story time. I have to make this short because I do have to be getting out of here in the next like 20 minutes or so. Okay, here's what happened with Taylor Swift. Bought tickets way back like last fall, October or whatever that whole craziness was with the access code and whatever, all that. Got tickets. 4 tickets. My husband and I, the 4 of us were going to go. Girls, my husband and I. So we're getting ready for the concert the week of or whatever, and I'm wanting to confirm the start time of the concert, stressing about where we're going to park and getting there what time and how much is parking going to be, hearing that it was, outrageous prices, all this stuff. I'm like, let me just double check the tickets and what the start time is and whatever. I had in my head that we were going to the July 1st show in Cincinnati. This is like Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. And I look at the tickets and the concert was for Friday, June 30th. not July 1st. Well, my husband had plans, a commitment that he couldn't miss. So I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm taking my two girls. I'm going to navigate Cincinnati and the parking and the craziness and all this, like with my girls. And if they bring a friend, like what's going on? So I'm like, Mom, do you want to go see Taylor Swift? Here's what happened. I can't believe I didn't have the right date. All this. My mom's like, yeah, I want to go. You know, she's like, I was kind of feeling left out. I've been hearing people talk about it on the radio and whatever. And she's like, I was kind of feeling left out. So I kind of, I want to go to see Taylor Swift. So my mom ended up going. It was really fun. And yeah, we got down there. I don't know. I think we got down there by like 12:30. Parking was not an issue in any way, shape, or form. It was a blast. Like we got to the merch table, other than it just being so hot. It was so much fun. And I would totally go see her again. She gives an unbelievable show. Of course, her outfits are amazing, and her stage design and her stage presence, all of that stuff is just amazing. I just think it is, if you have any interest in going at all and can go, do it. I don't think you'll regret it. So I'm officially a Swiftie now. And yeah, the Taylor Swift concert was awesome. Okay. Oh, I should show you the one last thing that I've been working on off and on this summer. More off than on. Honestly, I've only really had the brain space for socks, it seems like. I don't know. That's just life. So, but the other thing I've been working on, and I really want to get it done because I really just want to wear it, is I've been working on the home camisole by Kadri. Yes. Yep. And let's see, get this turned around. There's not much progress from probably the last time I talked about it on Instagram or something, but right now it just kind of looks like a sports bra or something like that. But it's a V-neck, front and back V-neck. You can kind of see there. And I'm on the body right now, so it's just around and around and around. I don't even know how many inches I need to do, probably 9-10 inches. And then you finish the whole thing with an I-cord around all of the edges. So I'd like to say I'll get this done this summer, but who knows? But I love it. I love this color. So yeah, I just haven't picked it up. I need to wind up another skein of yarn. This is all I have in this skein, so it feels a little scary to take any place for too much knitting. But this is the Fiber Company Luma in the color Pecan. It is a 50% wool, 25% cotton, 15% linen, 10% silk, DK weight yarn, and it is lovely. So, yeah. So that is what is on my needles. That's what I'm working on. That's what I've finished. Of course, I have way more sock yarn. I have several socks already prepped, wound, and in bags and waiting for me to get to them. And I really thought that I would have a huge cast on of socks this summer, but after I kind of got into it, I really was enjoying just knitting on one or two and then finishing them and just starting a new pair. So that's been quite fun. We'll see how long that lasts, but yeah, I think that's it. I don't know that I have anything else. I hope you guys are having a good start to the school year, if that is the season of life that you are in. But what's on your needles? What are you knitting, crocheting? Has it been a productive summer for you? Have you just been knitting things as you can, or did you have major summer goals? Where are you at? Where are you at now? Are you thinking about fall knitting yet? Of course I have sweaters that I want to knit, but I need to finish the ranunculus, and the tank top. I'm going to say I should finish that before I finish, before I start another sweater, but I'm not letting myself cast on any new sweaters because I'll just get distracted and then nothing will ever get finished. But yeah, so I think that's all I have. So I am going to go, and I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye.